bystanders, welcome to another episode of an Angel and a Unicorn comic book reviews. I am Alan, the unicorn, and with me is Josh Germs.
Hello.
We will be spoiling the books for the week, so if you haven't read your books, you know what to do. If not by now, then hopefully you'll figure it out that we're going to spoil them. And then we will love for you to like, share, and subscribe. Also ring the bell for our one viewer so they can be notified of when we post something. And that should be about it, right?
Get more friends.
I need
make
more friends.
More friends.
Our
Have
one
those
viewer.
friends make friends.
It's a whole networking
Get
thing.
out there.
It's like a pyramid scheme.
Live your
you
life.
know?
Just live your life.
Just include us in it.
With us.
Yeah. You have to have different levels of friendships, like different levels, and get all of them on the board. We need multiple. So, do you want to go first or you want to go first?
You can if you would like.
Alright. I'm going to do Ghosted in LA. It's by Boombox. The writer is Sina Grace, and the art is Siobhan Keenan.
You've liked this one.
I really didn't. I didn't. It's
you
not
shouldn't
one,
like it, but
right,
you do.
Right, it's not in my wheelhouse at all. It has no it's I don't know why I like it. It's just it's entertaining. It's like a dramedy, but then the writing is really good. The dialogues are really good, and the story's not bad. I mean, it's just different and interesting. I feel like it's a premise that's been done before, but it's not quite. I don't know. I can't put my finger on why I like it. It's just good. I like it. It starts off with one of the ghosts, the older ghost that last issue, he kind of turned into a wraith and is attacking the main girl that's living in the house now. And it talks about his story, about how he was kind of wanted to be a loner, and then when his wife passed away, his sister tried to help him out and befriend him, and she's like, you need to get out of the house, and he's like, you just need to leave. And he goes, I'm not charity case, you don't have to buy me groceries, just leave. So she's like, fine, you don't have to be a jerk about it. You're my brother, but blah, blah, blah. So he basically isolates himself, and then he is kind of, that's his zone, though. He wants to be by himself. He wants to be alone. And the whole book, he's been kind of telling her to stay quiet and leave everybody alone and quit messing with everything, but she can't help but mess with the machinations of the household. So it shows him where he takes a bath, and all of a sudden he's going to go get something, he slips, falls, busts his head on the bathtub, and then they find his dead body. So then it cuts to the current time where the best friend, or the ex-boyfriend, who has finally come out of the closet, is talking to the ghost that is also gay, and they are kind of quipping back and forth, and it shows her running from the wraith. Then they hear this, her ex-boyfriend hears her scream, and she's like, I gotta get my friend, and so he goes to go help her, and sees the wraith. So they he shoves the friend out the window and throws him in the pool, and he's gonna go drown him. And the other ghosts kind of start trying to help to stop this guy from hurting, or stop this ghost from hurting from the humans, the living. And one of the girls, she kind of uses some kind of psychic clouding power, where she kind of gets in his mind and confuses him. And it's kind of neat because they kind of start having these little gifts that you don't really know about. So they, she's like, I'll slow him down. So she does this little mind trick. And then oh my goodness. Is it very important?
No.
Oh.
It's Terry.
Oh, no, he's not important at all. He's not even one of our viewers.
Sorry, Terry.
Yeah, jerk. So she's up on the roof. She's trying to escape him still, and finally the head of the household lady shows up, and she's like, you need to stop. And he goes, oh, and he tells, at one point the wraith tells the girl, he's like, that this main girl has been feeding him all these people that are all these people have been coming to the house, and he's been kind of using them and killing them and doing horrible things. And so the old lady kind of uses some kind of, I don't know, it looks like a summoning or a banishing kind of thing, and gets rid of the wraith guy, And so then they kind of have an argument. They have a little house meeting. They get rid of the best friend by one of the girls charms him and tells him that he needs to leave, and he's tired, he needs to go home, and so he leaves. So they have their little team meeting where it's all the ghosts and then the living girl, and she's like, he said that you fed people, and she's like, I don't need to explain myself to you. I don't know what makes you think that I need to explain myself to you. I let you live here, and you are, now you owe me a favor because of all this stuff. So she has her go out and get flowers, and she gives her specific flowers that she needs to go get, and a place that she needs to go, and a person she needs to go visit. So she goes to this place. It ends up being a cemetery, and she's like, is this one of the people that you killed? Because it's the same name as one of the girls that one of the girls that the Wraith had listed as somebody that got attacked, and one of the girls that is like actually in the is another ghost. So then she runs back, and they all of a sudden there's a ghost forming, and it's this rock star that they're all kind of friends with, and so she's forming, she's becoming a ghost, and then at the end her best friend's like, all right, if you're not going to respond to me, then I'm going to get on a bus and I'm going to come find you. So the friend's going to end up coming to find her and probably going to get up on this ghost business. And so again, it's like, it's a dramedy, but it's, for some reason it works well, and I'm not for sure why I like it so much. But the dialogue is really well written. It's kind of a little bit of a mystery, but then they've got kind of this action, and so it's definitely I don't know. It's an interesting book that's not really an adventure thing, but it is kind of adventure, and so they got this weird realm that they kind of exist in that works well for them, I think. In my opinion, I think it actually is really well done. The art's really talented. I really like the visuals they do with it. I could totally picture this as like a TV series or something like that I would watch all the time, but I really like it. So I give it probably 4 out of 5 unicorn horns, and I probably will stay with it. I mean, so far it's like, what issues is 9 or something? 4, close enough.
I thought I was like, I'm just 4.
So that's even like I feel like I've been reading it for a while, and it's not even like, it's just, I really enjoy it. So if you get a chance, you should give it a try and see what you think. I mean, it's only 4 issues. Won't take you too long to get through. All right, you're up.
So I'm going to start with a new book for my first one. It's Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated. It's by Aftershock Comics. It's, of course they don't list it. It's by Patrick Kindlin and Stefano Simone. I apologize. And Hassan, oh dear goodness,
Ostumio
Ostmain Elohio. My deepest apologies.
So sorry. We try, we really do.
So it starts with a security officer locking someone up for shoplifting, and he's kind of giving him a speech, and he handcuffs him, and he's walking him down the aisles, and the aisles are huge and go on for the store looks like it's just this
Infinite
gigantic store. And so the guy's talking to him, and he's talking about the path to redemption, and that he hopes that after he's paid his dues he can come back and be a loyal consumer. He's like, move and I'll kill you right here. So that kind of lets you know right off the bat that it's this consumer culture taken to the extremes. So then they go to two junior executives talking about getting ahead in the corporate world. They're kind of watching what's going on and kind of jockeying back and forth. Um, the so they see the security officer notices a shoplifter, and he shoots him and blows his leg off. Um, and the girl's like, "How did you know that was going to happen?" He says, "Oh, I paid him to test to test security." And uh, the security officer finds the stuff that the guy was stealing, and he's like, "These items have been soiled by your blood. They can't be restocked. You're gonna have to pay for them." And so then it cuts to one of the top executives, and he's gotten it looks like a Dear John text, somebody breaking up with him. And so the it flips back to the security guy. He's watching all this stuff, and then it's time for his break, and he goes, he runs and practices and showers, and all that takes like 15 minutes. That it's, his whole life is consumed with being this security guard. And he sees somebody else stealing, and it costs him, and jumps the guy, and so as he's taking him off to the corporate security detention, he's talking with his boss, and she's kind of dressing him down for being a little too zealous.
Aggressive.
And she's like, "If it was up to me, we'd have executions right on the sales floor, but it's optics, the news and all this stuff. You gotta tone it down a little bit." So as they're walking, the executive from earlier is over in the gun section, and he's asking to see the various guns that they have, and his assistant is she knows something's wrong, so she goes and gets the security guys, and so kind of have a little standoff. She's telling the sales guy, "Don't give him a gun," but here's the big boss asking you for a gun. Oh, what do I do? And then the chief of security starts breaking everybody's phones who's recording this, and she's she's like, break everyone's phones, get everybody out of here. And so he goes over, and he grabs the executive and stops him from shooting himself or others. So it flips back to the other corporate executives, and they're like, they smell blood in the water. The head of security's like, we need to tell hospitality there's an emergency customer appreciation event, free mobile phones for everyone to replace all the ones they broke. So they drag him off between the aisles so he can't cause a ruckus. And so just then the security guy sees another thief, and he's chasing him, and she runs and runs, and then she disappears. So while he's chasing her, he falls through a trap door, and then there's this whole world that everybody's built below the giant megastore. They've built a whole civilization on the garbage left over from the megastore, and the this guy looks at it and has a moment of clarity, and here's all these people living outside the rules, and a world of pure creation. gonna have to murder them all.
I'm gonna have to get rid of all the evidence. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, it's a indictment of the consumer society and all that good stuff. So, it was fun. The art wasn't very good. I don't know if it was just not very good or if it was a stylistic choice. I didn't really care for it. They made a lot of leaps that some of these books I have trouble when they make, they say one thing and you're supposed to infer all this stuff from it.
Yeah.
This book I was able to infer a lot of the things that they did, so I guess that's good. I'd probably give it a 2.5 horns. I'll probably read the next one. It wasn't my favorite, but it was an interesting premise.
See if they,
It's basically cross Judge Dredd with Walmart.
Fair enough. Which I feel like it's about right. Yeah.
That's where we're headed.
That's where we're headed. Let's see. I'm gonna do a really random one. Called Soviet Ghosts. So the writer is Burnett Austin Harshman, and the art is Emilio Utera. Sorry. So it's a really short one. It's not very long. It's like 9 pages. But it's like a black and white. Let's see who the publisher is. Weasel Meitzers. Never heard of them. So it's I would assume independent, super independent. But it's like I said, it's really short. It's black and white, and it's kind of a simple story. But unfortunately, a lot of the story is very boring. But I feel like the premise was kind of interesting because I was like, I feel like they could have done a lot with this premise, but not in this. Not in this, they didn't. So it's these two kind of agents talking, and they're kind of talking about this book, and this book has like all these things in there that can destroy the USSR. So the future, like everything, like the Soviet Union could just be gone because of this book. And this book is supposed to have it holds like dimensions and magic and weird things and alien stuff and all kinds of stuff in this book is like knowledge that no person should have, but it can destroy the entire Soviet Union. So she's looking for this book, and so she knows where it's at, and so she's talking to this other agent. She goes to find it. She gets this book, and turns out the other agent is kind of he's like kind of a double agent, so he's going to stop her. So they kind of have this little quip back and forth about why they should have it, and of course he's like, he's got the gun to her, and he's telling her why he's like I'm for everything and I'm for America, but we can just do it. And she's like look, we can just sweep this under the rug. We don't have to do anything. I won't put this in my report. We can just not worry about it. And he's like, no. He's like, give me the book. So she throws the book at him, and then she runs away. He tries to kill her, but she gets away. And then she ends up with going back, giving the book to the president, and going back out to find the agent that escaped, because I guess he disappears with no look. And then
she gets to the president of Russia.
No, of America. Yeah, U.S. And so then she goes she cuts to Havana, Cuba, where the agent's there, and he's kind of living his own life, and that's the end of the book. I'm not for sure what this is all about, like why they decided like I need 9 pages to tell this story, because honestly most of it is the same quip back and forth, just different variations of why it's of the different things that they want to talk about or say. It's like, I could be a good agent. You could be a good agent. If you were an agent, you could be good. It's just like they keep saying the same thing over and over again.
You got 9 pages. Yeah. Get on with it.
So I feel like this didn't work quite well, but I think the premise was really kind of interesting, which I think that would have been kind of neat, how these special agents would find this book, and they could have done something with like dimensions and all these like weird magic and like all this stuff from this book that the Soviet Union had that's going to destroy them, but they had to protect it. I think they could like. I was like, okay, this sounds really interesting, and I'm like, it's a strong female character because she's like this female agent, and I'm like, this sounds like a really good premise. So I read it, and it's just like it was so disappointing because there's just nothing to it, and 9 pages. I mean, like I feel like there's not much you can do in 9 pages. I've seen people that done a lot in 9 pages, but not with this kind of like I think with this premise. So it's like it's sad. Like I really wish they would have done more. Unfortunately, this did not work out, and like the art was okay. The story was just like I said, it just kept repeating itself, and unfortunately, it didn't do well. So I'd say 1 out of 5 unicorn horns for the actual like product. But I'd say 4 out of 5 unicorns for the actual premise. Like I would love to see this book. I'm like, I really want this book to be, done. Like I think it'd be cool to have, these agents fighting with magic and dimensions, and it's all over this book and this artifact, and there's, this, I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of cool, but it did not end up.
Have you ever read Planetary?
Yeah. Yeah. That's. I mean, like they have like it's. I feel like they could do so much with that. You could do so much. Well, que será, será. Que será, será. What will be, will be. All right, here you go.
All right.
I read it, so like more.
So next one is one we've done before. It's a book called Reaver.
I feel like we've done all. Have we not done all the issues? I feel like we've done each one.
It's
been a
I
fan.
don't know if we've done all of them.
It's been a fan
from
favorite.
Image.
It's fan as an us.
It's by Justin Jordan, Rebecca Isaacs, and Alec Guimarães. So it's a group of people on a suicide mission to
Suicide Squad Medieval
to find out why the bad guys can tell what they're up to. So last time they burnt down a outpost and grabbed the head of a officer.
The small, angry wildling girl burnt down an outpost. Like everybody else just kind of escaped.
Yep. So they the 2 people that are doing this willingly and that are not being coerced by the poison take the head and pull the brain out, and the gal starts eating the brain to get the guy's knowledge of how to get into the
Anvil,
the super fortress.
Yeah.
So while they're doing that, the various people or the various members, that it's kind of a slow moving issue with people talking back and forth and some introspection and a little bit of background reveal.
So the Harlequin kind of character and the Killer Croc character kind of bond a little bit or have like a little bit of a moment.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get through before they all head off to the mission.
Yeah. So they're heading into the mission and they're pretending to be prisoners because that's a perennial favorite. And
I'll still bring it to a person.
So they get to the entrance and they have their fake documents and they hand them over, and the guards don't believe them, and they start quizzing them, and everybody thinks that they're boned. They quiz the soldier, and he comes through with flying colors and convinces them and scares them, and so they let him on in, and so once they go in, then they see all the prisoners inside, and horrible conditions that they're under. So then it cuts back to the camp and the what's the big guys called? The Devil's
I don't remember. I just
the Devil's Son or something like that. He's been wanting to die in combat for a while, so he puts his armor on. He's going to be a distraction
for one last time.
And so they some of the guards are like, okay, you can go ahead and hand over the prisoners to me, including the little crazy wildling. And the officer's like, I better take this one. So they head down the hall, and they stage a breakout and attack the guards and kill everybody. They let a prisoner loose, and so now they're inside of the anvil, and they're waiting for the distraction, and the big guy comes in, and so he's distracting.
And the Wildling girls got all the prisoners escaping, so that's the distraction too. And so then they
go and confront the main guy, and he's like, "You're here because we can see what is happening. We could see what was happening." So he's ready for him. It's kind of a trap, and and right about then the nobleman stabs the leader of the band, and just decides that this would be an opportune time to betray him.
Yep.
And that's where this issue ends. So it's pretty good. It like I said, this was a transition issue, so some stuff happened, but I expect the next one to be more action. And
I don't think it's gonna go much further though. Like, I feel like they're finally starting to wrap things up. I don't know how they're gonna go past this. So I'm curious
because they killed the one guy that can make the antidote for the poison.
Right.
So I don't know how they're gonna get around that particular MacGuffin.
Yes. And I'm not for sure how they're gonna the whole point was to kill the guy. So I'm sure they're gonna
well, they not just kill the guy, but figure out how they're doing it.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see where they're gonna go from here, because this is definitely like a turning point. They built up. This is the 4th issue, so they built up to this. They've
met the guy.
Yeah,
and he
to get the guy, and now he's they have a traitor on their team. The guy, the wizard's dead, and so now there's 2 different things that they have to deal with, and and half the other team doesn't even know that they're what's going on, because they're on the wildlings breaking everybody out, and the big guys killing everybody on the front gate, and so it's like, what are we gonna do? Is the bald lady gonna freak out, or just, I don't know. I'm curious to see how this is. I'm really curious to see how this is. I really like this book. It is it definitely is like a medieval Suicide Squad. That's what it is, and so I don't know why I find it so interesting though. It's really good. They've really done well with the characters and the dialogue.
Good art.
The art's really talented, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
They've got some, so. Alright, I'm going to do, let's see. So I'm going to do this is really random. It is issue 8, but it is again, another weird independent one, written by Mike Eisenberg and Oliver Mertz, and the art is by Steve Becker, Jim Mahfood, and Sean Von Gorham. So it is called First Law of Mad Science, and the publisher is Neuron Labs. Never heard of them. Again, digital comics, man, you can find some crazy stuff in here. I'm telling you, I've read Christian stuff. I've read. They had some Hispanic heroes that was actually in Spanish that I downloaded so I can have my Spanish coworkers translate it for me. They have all kinds of stuff in here. Like, I mean, it's crazy. So this one was oddly it's number 8. So I kind of want to go back and read the other ones. I feel like I said it before, but I feel like that's definitely a mark of a okay book where it makes you want to go back and read it. But it's kind of in the future-ish kind of setting. I'm not for sure exactly how far in the future or what kind of world this is, but it is, like, apparently there was some kind of vacuum tube that they were traveling in, and now they're out of that, and so they have a previously on kind of thing. So, and I read it, but I don't quite get it because I needed to, like, actually read it and consume it before I can figure it out. But it talks about this kid. His parents get killed. They tell him his parents are dead, and so they send him to foster care or to live with his aunt. And they collect all his dad's stuff, who looks like a scientist. So then it cuts to this team of people. Like, there's a girl that's a robot. There's a dad and a son, and then there's this weird cyborgish creature. So apparently the cyborg creature is a reanimated corpse of some lady. So the husband of the reanimated corpse reanimated the lady to attack these people. The guy is some kind of scientist, and the son is apparently some kind of wizard. But he doesn't know he's a wizard. He just kind of has some kind of magic powers, which they just bring up briefly in the book, but they haven't seen what he did. And then the robot girl is kind of like the guy's daughter. He made her. She's kind of the prototype for other robots. So they have this big military people come to get her. They zap the zombie cyborg girl, and they try to attack the other team, and they end up the cyborg or the robot girl destroys the team, and she's like, the dad's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Why does everybody keep asking me if you're okay?" And he goes, "Well, you're holding the last guy you beat up, you're holding his arm in your hand." And she's got like this dismembered arm. She's like, "Oh yeah, sorry." She's like, "No, I'm okay." She like throws it away. And then they all get in the Jeep to kind of get out of there. They are trying to find a way to get out of town. So the dad uses the memories in the robot. I guess she's got the memories of somebody that they know. And he uses the memories in like her Rolodex. He's like, "Hey, do you have a fixer in your Rolodex?" So she's like, "Yes, we'll call this person." So she calls this person. This person sends her to, "Oh, you doing a Terry on me?" Tell me falling asleep. Draw on your face. So she ends up going to this fixer where it's this guy that likes robots. He says he makes animatronic robots. And when he does, he tries to, so while they're trying to figure out this cyborg lady, she is the robot, or the garage guy talks the robot girl into coming back in the hallway with her, and he kind of kidnaps her and tries to steal her. Well, the other robot, the other cyborg zombie girl, finds her and helps her out, and so they stop the garage guy, and they all kind of escape to this other place, and they're trying to get to somewhere unknown, parts unknown. And so in between this, there's a guy that's escaping from some kind of prison, and it's the husband of the reanimated corpse. So the husband of the cyborg zombie is coming to find this team while they're trying to run away. And it sounds really confusing, but it's actually, I can follow it pretty well. But I'm not for sure. Like I said, I want to know more about it. I want to know more about these characters, so I want to go back and actually figure it out, because I feel like it is kind of an interesting story. But it does feel very amateurish. First Law of Mad Science. but it does. I mean, like I said, there's a immaturity to it almost, but it's a decent immaturity where it doesn't drag down everything. So there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's issue 8. So I'm curious to see how it all started, and I want to know what's going on. But it seems like they threw everything in the kitchen sink. So there's mad scientist, there's a wizard, there's a cyborg, there's a dead zombie cyborg, there's a bad guy psychotic that reanimated the dead zombie cyborg. There's there's the garage guy trying to get the robot, and so it's there's a lot of stuff going on in one book. But it was interesting, so I kind of want to see what's going to happen. I got to go back and read the other stuff. And I probably will try to pick up the next one if the next one comes out. So I'd say like 3 out of 5 unicorn horns. Definitely middle of the road book. Like I said, it has a little bit of pitfalls to it, but it's still able to carry on and be interesting somewhat. So, yeah. That's my final book. So now,
for my last book, a perennial favorite, Outer Darkness. By Image. It's by John Layman and Afu Chan. This is the second to the penultimate book in the first
arc.
So the captain's taking the first officer to feed to the God Engine, because he's sick of dealing with him. And the administrator comes, he says, she's like, he needs to be tried at Sagittarius Base Alpha, which you gather that's several weeks away, and he's like, the captain's like, I'm not waiting. We're killing him today.
Rules,
and
man.
She says, I guess you haven't talked to the navigator lately. We fed all the other nasties that we've been fighting. We fed those to the God Engine, and we've been making good time. We're here. So they're at one of the bases. So this is where the book kind of falls apart for me.
Aww.
Because the admiral's there and he meets them. And he was the one that sent them off, and it was, it's just all this long way, and they fight, there's all these hardships along the way to come to the edge of known space, and then he's there waiting for them. So it's like, why did you... Obviously there's an easy way to get here. Why would you send these guys the hard way?
How do you know? Maybe he's a hologram.
He's not a hologram.
I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
That just, it's like, whatever president sent Lewis and Clark to examine the Louisiana Purchase, and when they get to Oregon, he's sitting there waiting for them. It's like, well, why did you send us?
Why didn't you guys take the elevator?
I literally had 20 people die of dysentery. They died from diarrhea, and here you are waiting for
so
us.
many fish. We could have took the elevator the whole time.
Yeah. So that's
fair enough.
So the captain and his voodoo buddy are they're talking about some plans. And so the admiral tells him he wants to meet with them. He says, well, first I got to reward my crew. So he gathers all the crew together, and he's got them some expensive hooch with the money that they made doing all the
dirty things that they've done.
Yeah, the dirty things that they've done. He says they got some Predilaxian 15-year reserve. He says this is the this is the best liquor in the galaxy, and there's only one thing better. It's being hand delivered by Predilaxians, and apparently they're sex cultists that are gonna take care of the crew, and they gonna party. So, and he gives them 24 hours leave, and so they're taking off, and his voodoo friends like, are we gonna nice speech, and that should really get the crew liking you. He says, are we gonna stick around for a bit? And he's like, screw these guys, I got important stuff to do. So you get the feeling it was all
a ruse to keep him entertained.
And so he they're talking about their plans and stuff, and the captain starts interviewing new shipmates and things that they can do. He meets a new oracle, new mercenaries, various people. He meets a new a mathematician who's going to do navigation and stuff, and he says, you have any other skills? And he's like, well, I'm a really good bartender. And the captain's like, you're hired. So the captain interviews people till he basically passes out drunk. So then he goes in to meet with the admiral, and part of this whole thing is that he the captain lost his wife, is lost somewhere. Well, there's a picture of his wife in the admiral's quarters, and he insinuates that his executive person is his girlfriend, wife's daughter with the admiral. Yeah.
So she had an affair.
Well, or the captain was the affair and she married the admiral.
Oh.
Is kind of what they insinuate.
Oh.
Oh
my god.
So there's a love triangle, and so then he asks the admiral, why are we here? What is this big mission? And that they're supposed to go retrieve the soul of one of the enemy that
little bug creature things.
The bug creatures that know a bunch of stuff. So so after he gives after he gets his mission, he attacks and knocks out the admiral, and he asks his buddy how's the party with the crew members, and the something happened with the crew members, and they're all killing each other and being haunted at the same time. And then he says that he's going to go steal the ship, so to do what he really wanted to do out here. So kind of a big wind up, and you get introduced to all these characters, and now they're going to just leave them all behind, and he's going to have a whole new crew, and unless they're chasing him, or I don't know how they're going to. So it kind of took a massive left turn.
We're going this way, but we're not.
We'll see how far left the next issue. It was fun, but it's on top of the admiral, there's a lot of why. Why did we go through all this? Why did we learn all these characters if you're just going to dump them and have a new crew? Why did we get invested in all these things along the way? If they pay them out eventually, that's great. But if they just did it just to mess with us, then I'm gonna be a little peeved. But so I still like it, and I'll definitely read the next one to see
what they're
where
gonna
they
do.
go
Yeah.
with it. But they had said in the letter section
Yeah.
that, you know, after this arc, the next arc is going to be only, you know, it might be a different ship, it might
Yeah.
be a different crew. That it's not the story of these 20 people or these 10 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever read the Foundation series by Asimov?
Mm-mm.
It tells these stories, and then so it'll tell a story and then conclude it, and then they jump like 300 years, and so you get all new characters, and they're, you know, and
Each book or each arc?
each like chapter, or 2 or 3 chapters, and then it jumps, and it's all new people and all new stuff, and then it jumps, and that's what this is starting to feel like.
Yeah.
So
Um,
it's not bad. I mean, Foundation, I enjoyed it, but it's a very...
did you ever read Strike Force Moriarty?
Yes.
So that one, is that right? Moriarty? More
Yeah, I don't
something.
know.
Anyways, it's an old Marvel book, and that's one of the things that I liked and hated about it at the same time. Like, they would have these 6 characters, and then I think like either the first or the second book, they killed one of the main characters off. They're like, he died. But that was kind of like what they did. They signed up.
Well, it's
to get
kind of
these
like Walking
superpowers.
Dead ended up doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the premise of that book was they gave you superpowers, but they would kill you within a year.
Or something within a different...
And it was within a year. It wasn't
Possibly.
after a year.
Or like it could be possibly like it would kill you earlier, or it could kill you any time within that. Like, just depends on how quickly your body burns out.
So, you know, yeah, they had one guy smoke out after like a month.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, it was one of the main characters.
And
once you got used to it,
yeah.
But yeah, it was very just.
But even like as the stories went on, they had like characters that lasted longer, and they had characters that didn't. But then they eventually would, and then at the very end, like the last arc, they finally got to the point where they could perfect it, where they didn't die, and so it was like. I think there was one character that went through all of them, but she kind of went on. But anyways, like, it was interesting because they would like use this character, and then they would do stuff with them, and then they would be like, okay, and boom, now you're gone, and then here's this person. So they would bring in these different people, and I really, like I said, it was one of those, it was a double-edged sword. I really liked it because I liked all the new characters and all the new things that they kind of did with it, and kind of gave this little twists and turns. But then I hated it because I love these characters, and really I'm like, oh, I really like these characters, and then the next thing you know, they're gone, and you're like, oh, but I really like them. And so it would be something.
Did you ever see the TV show Z Nation? It was a zombie knockoff show.
I started it, but I don't think I ever
But they
finished
did
it.
that. They had a big name actor in the first episode that you thought was going to be the big name actor, and they whacked him. So then they had the leader of the group was this guy that he'd done a few things. He had a little bit of name recognition. He lasted like another 7 episodes, and then they whacked him, and the second in command took over, and so you're just always. Oh, this is the story of Jim. Not the story of Jim anymore. It's
Jim
the story of
gone.
Sally. Oh, son of a dang it.
See, but again, like, it could be...
If you do it well,
Mhm.
but if you don't do it well...
I really like Strike Force. I thought that they did that well. And they really made you feel for the characters, and they didn't just kill people off for no reason. They actually made you feel for a character, or at least enjoy the character for whatever reason they were. And then when they died, you actually kind of felt like there was something missing in the next one. So maybe, hopefully... And honestly, I feel like sometimes they do that. Like, I feel like they're definitely got these characters that I'm like, and then next thing I know, they, like, kill them off, and I'm like, oh. Like,
they introduced the nun.
Yeah, and now she's...
And they're like, are we going to do anything with her? Is she going to be important? And then the the secret agent, the one that's
Yeah,
doing the deep
lizard-looking
cover
girl,
thing.
yeah, and then the Enoch or
Yeah,
Elox.
the god that. Yeah, he was a god.
Good job, Equinox.
They-
It's Elox.
Yeah,
All right, Elizabeth, it's Elox.
yeah.
I think this was sick.
So
And then, they have like there's several ones, but like even the big burly blonde like security lady, she was kind of in charge of the infantry, and then they just killed her off with the Silas or Stalis or something, whatever that demon creature was. They just killed her off, and I was like, I really would have liked to know more. I was like, the brief moments they showed, I was like, ooh, she's kind of interesting.
But then they've also built in the premise of if you find someone's soul, you can build them a new body, and so anybody you kill off, you can bring back too,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be right away. So it's very
yeah. So I'm curious.
it's wide open
So
for possibilities.
what about rating? What would you give this one?
We've been giving it 4s and 5. I think I'd have to give this one a 4. I was disappointed, but I'm still intrigued, and I'm still gonna stick with it, see where it goes.
Awesome. Did you read anything else?
I read Doom, the new Doctor Doom. I think it's a limited series.
Any good?
I don't know. It's very convoluted, and it is so many people have tried to write Doctor Doom, and I have this idea in my mind of what a good Doctor Doom story should be, and so most people don't do it right. Probably the best one was the Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange Triumph and Torment story.
I don't read that.
That was awesome. And art by Mignola.
Ooh, I
And
bet that would be good. Yeah.
this one, so it starts off, they've built a base on the moon that's supposed to solve the global warming, and Doom doesn't think he's like, this can end in disaster, and he and then he keeps seeing flashes from other timelines, and then at one point Kang comes in.
Oh, see, anything
and
with Kang is
pops
just
in.
like,
And then
Ouch.
the moon base blows up, and they're framing Latveria for it, and they come to arrest him, and he surrenders, but then he fights the people coming to arrest him because you don't lay a hand on Doom without his permission, and yeah, he fights him to a standstill, and then says, I was going to come with you. And then he fights him some more, and he's like, I really was going to come with you. We'll see.
anything else?
No. I had several that were on the list that just
Didn't make it. I know.
didn't make it.
This week was so busy. I feel like I took vacation, so I didn't have one last week, so I'll have to do one later. But like, it was just, oh my gosh, so busy. I read a Rye. It's a space one. The captain's kind of lonely, and then he's got sick of being in space, and the scientist comes and gets him. He's like, oh, well, we're supposed to be. We're at this black hole, and he's like, okay, well, launch the probe, and that's their whole mission, and it doesn't launch. So the probe's like, mm-mm. But it's been like 10 years since they got there, so everything's broken down. They're like, nobody maintained the launcher. So the captain just gets tired. He's like, ugh. So he goes out, gets a spacesuit, takes the probe, and like sends himself out there and like throws the probe in. He's like, okay, I'm gonna come back, and they're like, you can't. It's a black hole. You're gonna get sucked in. He goes, I'm fine. So he activates his rockets, and he gets sucked in anyway. It's like, so he's just kind of like, he's like, whatever. And that's the end of that. And like, but I guess they released a couple of them. So I think there's 4 of them. So I'm not for sure they released the whole series at once or how they did it digitally. They may have done it like just where they released it digitally. Then I read Dead Legends, which was kind of like a fighting book. It was, this girl kind of shows up to this mysterious tournament, and she pretends to be this person, and she has a medallion. But then the person that she's pretending to be shows up and fights all these guys. And she's like, "I'm really this person," and they're like, "Well, then like obviously because I beat all these people up." And so then you find out that the girls. Some guy killed her boyfriend, and so she joined this champion to come find him. I'm not for sure. I feel like it's definitely a one that's been done before. Triage by Dark Horse. I did that one where it's kind of like an Orphan Black kind of thing where it's
Is that the second one?
Yes.
I think you did the first one.
I did. This one gets a little more convoluted. That they kind of explain a little bit more. I guess there's this robot trying to kill the normal version of herself, but they're all from different worlds. Like one's like a kind of post-apocalyptic girl, and one's like a superhero. And so the superhero girl is like the whole time she's like, I'm gonna punch him. I'm gonna beat him up. Let's get him. I'll beat him up. I'm a superhero. Do I have to keep bringing this up? I'm a superhero. I'm a superhero. I'm a superhero. Like she literally says like 7 times. And at one point she goes, I said this 1,000 times. I'm a superhero. Just let's get him here and we'll beat him up. So the guy shows up, and of course that doesn't happen. So she he ends up beating her. Yeah.
Breaks her hand.
Yeah, he throws her over, and so then the post-apocalyptic girl's got this gun that kind of comes out of nowhere, and she tries to kill him, and then the girlfriend of the normal version of herself, so the robot goes to kill the normal version of herself, and her girlfriend picks up the gun from the post-apocalyptic thing and puts it to the guy's head, and she's like, "Don't touch my girlfriend, or I'm gonna end you," and that's where the book ends. I don't know. I feel like I want to give up, but for some reason I just keep going. It's okay. I don't know. It's not working for me, but I want it to. I really want it to work, and it's just not working for me, sadly. And that's about it. That's about all I got through this week. Like I said, it's been busy. I've got 17,000 other things on my list, and I still have my physical copies I have to read, which I think I'm up to a stack like this big now. I'll have to start whittling that down. But anyways. Well, thanks for joining us for our episode, and we hope that you like, share, and subscribe, and get more friends. Begin your pyramid scheme to help us be 2 viewers. Until that time, thanks for staying with us, and we hope your pull list is full. Bye.